Hello everyone, welcome to Tammy's Bookshelf. Welcome to my currently reading, what I have read, what I've DNF'd, what I am currently in the middle of, kind of a catch up on my reading. I was gonna film this last week, but then I felt like I didn't have enough to talk about, and now I have enough to talk about, so we're gonna get into it. Sorry, the first thing I would like to talk about is that I read White Chocolate Moments. To be fair, I think I read 3/4 of this instead of a full thing. This is a reread. This is by Wick, and it is about basically this young girl. Her parents die suddenly and her grandfather has guardianship, so they are living together and it's happy and wonderful, but then her cousin moves in with them and things turn horrible really quick and she flees to get away from there, and then it's their story. As a family, there's a romance in here, and I really enjoy this one. I know people say this is not Wick's best book, but I personally enjoy it. Maybe not as much as some of her other ones, but it's definitely a good one in my opinion. So this one gets a 4-star, and I did read enough of it to think, I think I can say I've read the whole thing because it's reread, but also I read most of it. I finished a Bible study today, actually. I finished the last section of it. This is called Through the Desert by Lina, Abujamra, I believe. This one is a study of God's faithfulness. Now, this I'm giving 4 stars because it is very interesting and really, it's good. But it's not a 5-star because, one, there's way too much homework. This is a 6-week Bible study and you have about 40 pages, maybe 30 pages of homework per week to go through. Like the last 2 days that I was doing, because my group has split this up into 2 weeks per one, or 1 week per 2 actual weeks. It was still like 18 pages for 2 days worth of homework. So a bit overwhelming. And then also I don't love how this bounces around through different books, and I think it's wonderful to see that, but I like more of a cohesive or direct study where it's like, okay, we're gonna go through I don't know, 1 Peter, like when I did 1 Peter, it was like, okay, we're going to study 1 Peter section by section and not jump from Genesis all the way to Jeremiah, all the way to Jesus, like over the course of a few weeks. So it was just a lot of jumping and I didn't love it. But I did think this was a really powerful Bible study, and I think you should check it out if you're interested in learning about wildernesses that you feel like you're going through, or spiritual wildernesses or actual. It's really interesting to read. I should say really interesting to learn about because you definitely are doing homework. I also finished Peter Pan. I listened to it on audio. I'm actually going to be unhauling this edition because I don't really love Peter Pan. I'm giving the book 3 stars. This book is, it's not what you expect when you've only grown up on Disney. Let's just say it that way. This is also quite I don't know, quite a dark story, dark fairy tale. And people don't always realize that. I've read it before, so I kind of knew, but then I was being reminded of these things. And my biggest problem with this whole book is that Peter Pan, the character, is horrible. He is a jerk. He is a ringleader. He is a bully. He is so many things. And it's never said that it's a bad thing. So if you were going to read this with children, I would recommend going into it with being ready to talk about it with a lot of discussion about how you treat others, about how you should act if someone treats you this way, what kind of things he's coming into this. So like what kind of biases, and it's not great in that regard, but it is a fun story. I think it's just the interpretation of the main character and how it's never actually shown to be a bad way to treat people. Rubs me the wrong way. So 3 stars. I'm going to get rid of this copy, but I do have one of these copies up here. So I'll be keeping that one, but I'm going to get rid of this beautiful illustrated version and send it to my cousin who really loves Peter Pan. I also read Time of the Turtle King, which is by Mary Pope Osborne. This is the most recent book in the Magic Treehouse series. I actually had read the previous one, like the second last one, which is called Rhinos at Recess, earlier, but I forgot to mark off that I'd read it earlier this year, so I just added it to my list. But that one's also good. I gave them both 4 stars. The one about the Turtle King, sorry, gotta get my words together. The one about the Turtle King was about the Galapagos Islands, when they had a volcano in like 98, when they were trying to save all of these giant turtles because of being extinct or on the, they're not extinct. I'm drawing a really big blank here. They're on that list of very few of them in the world. And I know that the word's gonna come to me after I'm done filming, but I can't think of it now. Anyways, it was good. And I gave it 4 stars. I also I finished off listening to at least the audiobook called The History of Ancient Egypt by Bob Brier. This is a 24-hour audiobook that you can get through Audible. And it's a re-listen for me. It is really interesting. I loved relearning about ancient Egypt and how things happened, how their society grew, how different, I don't know, like how the mummies work. This is just coming from a Christian perspective, but I loved learning about how Joseph in the Bible is affirmed by in-story information. You'll have to check it out, or you can message me privately if you want to know lots of more detail. But anyways, I think it's fantastic. And if you're interested in ancient Egypt, this is definitely an audiobook that you should pick up. Great courses. They're literally 30-minute lectures, and you will not be disappointed if you like ancient Egypt. Fantastic. So this is a re-listen for sure, but I was enjoying myself. Let's get on to DNFs. We're gonna start off with the controversial one, shall we say. I have DNF'd David Copperfield. Now, I knew coming into this one that I am not the biggest Dickens fan. Knew that. But I had high hopes. And the way I normally function with these big, heavy classics, heavy in terms of space, but also content, is I will drive 4 hours to see my cousin Megan once almost every month. And on that drive, I'll put on an audiobook like this, or Anna Karenina, or Gone with the Wind, and then I'll get sucked in because I'm listening to it for 3.5, 4 hours, and I really can't turn it off because I'm driving. This is the best way for me to get invested in a story. Now, I had listened to I had read a few chapters before I started the drive, and I put on the audiobook, and after literally an hour of driving, I was like, I need to pull over so I can change this audiobook. I am not enjoying myself. And I think it was just how heavy the content was. If I had known, I think I wouldn't have picked this one up in general. I'm just not someone who likes those heavy stories, the ones about children who are being abused and horribly treated, and I'm not a fan of them. I know that those are books that some people love, and I am not one of those people. So I was listening to it for an hour, and then I was like, I have to quit this, but I couldn't pull over because there was no rest stop, so I couldn't turn the audiobook off for another hour. So I listened to this one for 2 full hours before I was able to pull off, and the extra hour just confirmed to me that I didn't even want to finish the chapter I was on. I was just done. So I think I got, like this far in, like 120 pages in, and I was done. I just don't know. It was just not my cup of tea. So unfortunately, I DNF'd David Copperfield. I don't want to say I'm never going to read Charles Dickens again. Sorry, mixing up the names. But I have the Pickwick Papers, which, one second. I have this one, which is really big as well, but it looks like it's an earlier work, and I think it's also a satire. So I might enjoy this one. This is the only Dickens book I actually am interested in reading anymore, aside from rereading A Christmas Carol. So this is the last Dickens book I have on my TBR, unfortunately, even though Dickens has many more books I've never read, and that's just the way the cookie crumbles. So I have DNF'd David Copperfield. Another book that I have DNF'd, I only got a few pages in, so I don't know if I would really call this a DNF, but I wanted to try it out and see. I tried out Dune. This is a graphic novel, and this is literally volume 1 of the graphic novel of Dune. I think I got, yeah, this far in, I got 10 pages in. The art style is great, but I was just kind of not invested in the storyline. And I know some things that happen in Dune, but I also know it's a very complicated world. So I was just kind of like, maybe I'll try it out this way before I try reading the giant book. And I don't have a particular interest in continuing on with this book or with the Dune series. I don't think I'll ever pick up the huge one, not the graphic novel, but the actual book. But don't hold me to that. I might pick it up one day, but currently I'm DNFing this one. For books I'm currently in the middle of and working through, I have A Visitor's Guide to Victorian England by Michelle Higgs. I think I'm like 25% of the way through this one, 30%. I don't know, this one's just not hooking me. It's not grabbing me. And I think it might just be my brain, to be perfectly honest. It's not the book's fault because I am reading it as an ebook. And sometimes I can fly through ebooks and sometimes I can't. And right now I can't. So it's not necessarily the book's fault. It is interesting. It goes over how life would be like if you were to visit Victorian England. So there was a whole chapter on finding accommodations, like, you know, will you stay in a very expensive hotel or will you stay in a boarding house, or will you do room and board? Just different levels of that. There was one about clothing and how everyone looks very fancy, but if you look at the quality of clothes, that's different. And then this current chapter I'm on is about the food, which I'm almost done. And I found it interesting to know that there was fast food back then too. I mean, I kind of knew that people couldn't afford a lot of food, but I didn't understand why, because they didn't have kitchens. So that's something I found out from here. I'm trying to get through it and enjoy my time, but I'm also kind of recognizing my mental headspace is not there. So I'm not pushing myself too much, but I am chipping away at it. And it is interesting. I have also started reading, I don't know. I started reading this biblical fiction. I did not get very far because it's also an ebook. And this is called Legacy by Anne Moore Bradfield, I want to say. This one is about David's mother. So King David's mother, and his brother is really, ugh. I think it's putting me off reading it, but he's supposed to be a villain, I think. He's very much not a good guy. And so I'm just gonna get my teeth a bit more into the storyline before I have any more definite thoughts. But yeah, it's interesting. I'm also starting to read my Agatha Christie. I'm on the clocks right now. I'm about 40 pages in. I am really enjoying this one, but I am struggling to read anything actually. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I do have an audiobook of this now, which I can put on and listen to. That was my goal for this week. I'm gonna try setting some goals for the week so maybe I can be a little bit more productive because I am a goal-oriented person, so productivity is helpful. I think I just remembered a book that I read but I didn't tell you about. So it's not on my story graph. I need to get better about tracking when I've read something, but I read Night of the Ninjas, which is the graphic novel, which is also in the Magic Trio series by Mary Osborne. The graphic novel was good. It's been a long time since I've read that story, so it was nice to reread it, and I enjoyed the graphic novel style. If you want to check out my last weekly wrap-up, what I was reading thing, the art style was visible there because I had the physical book from the library. This one I had the ebook, so yeah. I did read that one. I gave it 4 stars, I think. So I can't think of anything else that I have read, but I do want to set some goals, like I said, because I need some sort of motivation for the upcoming week. I guess this also falls under what I'm currently reading, which is Voice of the Ancient by Connilyn Cossette. I have made some progress with that, which is wonderful, but I do want to finish that this week. That is one of my goals and top priorities. I also want to finish To Win a Prince. I have been really struggling with the ebook life, so I need to prioritize that. So hopefully that will be a good goal and an achievable goal. So I want to finish 2 ebooks from On Libby that I have. I also need to finish Enola Holmes and The Mark of the Mongoose. I started that. I had like 5 chapters in. I'm buddy reading it with Chris from Chris's Corner, and I have not sent them my thoughts because I have just been trying to at least get a little bit into it. And like I said, ebooks, hard. Reading, hard. I've been doing a lot of watching TV instead, which I'm not hating, but it is showing itself in what I have actually accomplished. So, Enola Holmes. I would like to finish Voice of the Ancients. I'd like to finish To Win a Prince. I'd also like to finish The Clocks this week. I think that should be achievable, I hope. And then I do want to get started on my other Victober book. It must be my room, but it's the Subjection of Women, which is by John Stuart Mill. I do want to try to finish that one. It's a short one, and I would like to get through this. Now, in a normal week, I can do all that. So let's try and see if I can or not. This book is only like 300, 400 pages. And so it's like just over 400 pages. So it should be okay. And this is the only one I have, and only as a physical book. So hopefully I can get this done along with all the ebooks and some audiobooks and just get back into the swing of things. I really need to. So yeah, those are my goals. Hopefully I can come back next week and let you know that I have accomplished them. So that will be it. Thank you so much for watching. If you would like to leave a comment about what your thoughts are on these books or what you've read in the last week, I'd love to chat down below. Also, if you could give this video a thumbs up and a subscription along the way. I mean, just hit subscribe. If you are new here and you would like to see more content from me, I would really appreciate that. Thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.
In a house that I don't know,